All right, perfect. So on today, we're going to do section 4-5, day 2. We're going to go through our notes, and then if we have any time, what would have been your homework, or if this is another year that you guys are watching this homework or watching this video and it's not a homework-free weekend, this is your homework. But for us right now, this is a homework-free weekend. So we are going to do as many of these as we can before the bell rings. So we'll just work until the end of class, and then we will leave and have a great Thanksgiving. All right, last night, how did you guys do on the first 4? Solve. These were all factorable. So you could, move them all over, make it equal to 0, and solve by factoring. How did we do? Any of them get ya? 6? Okay, so on number 6, the first thing I did on number 6 is I brought this over. So when I did, I got 9m to the 5th minus 27m to the 3rd equals what?
0.
Now, what's your GCF that you guys can take out of here? 9m cubed. Okay, so when you take out a 9m cubed, Quinn, what do we have left?
M squared.
Uh-huh.
And 3.
Minus 3. Okay. Now, this is the one I kind of showed you that this kind of happened in your in the notes yesterday, and we talked about, can we factor any further? Well, this is a monomial. It's done. This is a binomial, and that is a square, but is 3 a perfect square? So you can't factor any further. So at this time, you just set each of these equal to 0. So when you set 9m to the 3rd equal to 0, and m squared minus 3 equal to 0. All right, what would we do to solve this one? Divide it by 9. And when you do, you get m to the 3rd equals 0. Now, what number multiplies by itself 3 times to give you 0? 0. Or you could undo it by taking the cube root. And what's the cube root of 0? 0. Or, again, once you get here, just think about what number multiplies by itself 3 times to give you 0. The only thing that multiplies 3 times to give you 0 is 0. Now, over here, what are we going to do? Add 3. I get m squared equals 3. And now what are you going to do? Square root it. Don't forget to put a what out front. So your 3 answers, are 0, positive square root of 3, and negative square root of 3. Questions? That one was a little tricky. Glad you asked, Quinn. Any others? Through 8. Okay, how'd the graphing one go? How'd those go? Using the end behavior, factoring to find the zeros. Remember, if you have even multiplicity, it will touch that 0 and go up, or touch that 0 and go down. If you have odd multiplicity, it will bend at that 0 and go over. If it just crosses once, if you have just 1 0, it's just going to go, it might go like that. It'll just cross straight across. Okay? All right. What questions can I answer on the graphing ones? We good? And then these ones were the ones that are going to head us into more like what we're doing today. Find all the real solutions. So again, they weren't factorable. I wanted you to find P over Q because that helps us as we get further down the line. But I know a lot of you didn't do it. You just went right to your graphing calculator, see where they appeared, and did synthetic division to test it. You done? Okay. Any questions on homework? Okay.
We're done.
All right. E-H-A-E-L-2. You back to study hall, Michael?
Yeah.
12:04. Okay. I did take care of your attendance. I sent a note to the attendance office, but that's your pass to study hall. Yep. Have a good break. Thanks for coming in and doing that. All right. Find all the real solutions. Are you guys good? Pass those in. Pass those blue papers in. Okay, I have to admit, I saw a picture online of your brother next to your dad, and he looked really tall. let's just put it that. We'll put it that way.
What happened?
There was a picture online of Ryan getting a football award at the WHBC football awards banquet.
Yeah.
And so Mrs. Lippy posted a picture of Ryan next to Mr. DeGeorge, but Ryan's like
Oh yeah, my dad.
ginormous and your dad's not. And so it was like so funny. Yeah, but your dad's quick, man. My husband played basketball with him. They used to rent out a gym, and or not rent out, but they used to just go play in one of the elementary gyms a long time ago. A group of guys. My husband used to go play with Mr. Lippy and Mr. Laubacher and a bunch of people. And he always says, man, Mr. George was the fastest basketball player that existed. So, anyway. But it was funny to see that picture because Ryan looked like a jolly green giant. All right. Ready to go? We're going to jump in. We're going to do, which one do I have to do? Do C first. So we're going to jump down to C. And we're actually not going to do D. So if you run into D's space, we're not going to do D. Okay? We're going to do just example C. And the directions back at the beginning say find all real zeros. And remember, real numbers can consist of both rational and irrational. So, some of you went straight to your graphing calculator yesterday instead of doing P over Q. All right, so if I go straight to my calculator and I do 16x to the third, so let's all do this, 16x to the third minus 44x squared plus 8x plus 5. All right. And I know the last time I did this was a Zoom 6, but I'll run it again just to make sure. And can you tell what your zeros are? I mean, they're between 0 and -1, and between 0 and 1, and between 2 and 3. So can you see exactly? No. So this is where we need to do P over Q, our possible rational zeros. Let me get your passes. Possible rational zeros. What are P? Factors of what? The constant. What number is the constant? 5. So we're looking for factors of 5 over factors of what?
16.
So factors of 5 over factors of 16. What are the only factors of 5? 1 and 5. What are the factors of 16? Well, you have 1 and 16. You have 2 and 8. Does 3 go in there?
No.
4 and 4. Okay. Are you guys good there? So now divide. So when we divide, now this one we have to divide. Yesterday they were all over 1. Now we got to divide. So we have 1 over 1 and 5 over 1. So that would just be plus or minus 1 or 5. I'm going to put the plus or minus out front and know it applies to all numbers. Okay. Now I have to put them all over what? 2. So this would be 1/2 and 5/2. 1/2 and 5/2. Okay. Now I got to put them all over 4. So I'd have what? 1/4 and 5/4. Then I put them all over 8. So I'd have what? 1/8 and 5/8. And then I'm going to put them all over 16. So I have 1/16 and... All right. So this is my list, remember, of possible rational zeros. Well, that still didn't help me because I've got a whole bunch of fractions that could be between 0 and -1 and between 0 and 1. I might be able to figure this one out. This is between what two numbers? Okay, between 2 and 3. Well, I've got two couple possibilities. It could be 5. It could be 5 halves. That's it. Do you guys think it could be 5 halves?
Yeah.
Do you want to try 5 halves? Okay, how do we test 5 halves? Synthetic division. Okay, so let's use synthetic division. When I do, what am I going to put out front here, out in the inside? 16, negative 44, 8, and 5. All right. So you're going to divide by 2 and multiply by 5. So bring down the 16. Divide by 2, that's what? 8. Multiply by 5 is 40. Add negative 4. Okay, divide by 2. Negative 2. Multiply by 5. Negative 10. Add negative 2. Okay, multiply by, or divide by 2. Negative 1. Multiply by 5. What did we get?
0.
Okay, perfect. So is that a rational zero? Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to factor this, and I'm going to write this is the factor what? Remember, this was x equals, so this is the factor x what? Minus 5 halves. And then since I started with x to the third, this is going to be 16x what? Squared minus 4x minus 2. All right, now I got that trinomial. I need to factor that. Anybody see anything I can do first?
GCF.
What's my GCF? Okay, I like 2, but the leading term is positive, so I'm not going to pull out a negative 2. I'm just going to pull out what? 2. Now, I always put my GCF out front. It just looks cleaner to me. So when I pull a 2 out of that trinomial, what do you guys have left? 8x squared minus 2x minus 1. Okay. You could, but you're never going to see it written that way. Hi, Addie. How are you? You're never going to see it written that way. You'll always see it out front. It's kind of like if you multiply x times 5, it's not x5, it's 5x. If you have a number, a constant, it'll be always out front. Do you have your hand done? Yeah. All right, so now we have a trinomial. A is not 1. So what are you guys going to do to factor this? 8 times negative 1. What's 8 times negative 1? What multiplies to give you negative 8, that adds to give you what? And what is it? Negative 4 and positive 2. Now remember, we're going to split this up, so this becomes 8x squared. Which one do you guys want to put first? Minus 4x plus 2x minus 1. What can we pull out of here? 4x. What's left? 2x. What do you guys want to pull out of here? Why minus?
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, okay. What do you want to pull out of here?
1.
A positive 1. You have to pull something out. You have what? X minus 1. So I have the 2. I have the x minus 5 halves. And then what do these factor into?
4x plus 1.
4x plus 1 and
2x minus 1.
2x minus 1 equals 0. Okay? Now can I find all my solutions? You betcha. Okay. What do you do when you set this one equal to 0? What would you guys do?
Add 1.
Add 1 and then what? Divide by 2. X is what? I'm going to put that in blue. X is 1/2. Okay, how about here? When you set this one equal to 0, what are you guys going to do? Subtract 1 and then what? Divide by 4 and x is, and we already solved this one. It was what? 5 halves. Does that 2 help us at all? No. goes away. 2 cannot equal 0. We're done. Now, we already know 5/2 was in my list of possible rational zeros. Is -1/4 in my list of possible rational zeros? And then the last one was 1/2. Is that in my possible rational zeros? Yeah, we found them. So you can see it's getting a little harder. We're adding a lot together. Any questions there? I know, man. Tough lesson before Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, I'm gonna forget all this.
All right, let's jump up and do a
Oh, 4.
okay. All right, on A. I think it was A I wanted to do next. Yep, C then A. All righty. Well, this looks like a doozy. Let's find our possible rational zeros first. P over Q. We know we have to do that. P is factors of what? 12. Q is factors of what? 10, leading coefficient. So factors of the constant divided by factors of the leading coefficient. So factors of 12. I have plus or minus 1 with plus or minus 12. 2 and
6.
what else?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Okay, so that's my whole list there. How about 10? 1 and 10, and what else? 2 and 5. Okay. Are we good with listing those? Now let's divide. So my possible rational zeros. Well, when you put them over 1, I'm going to put the plus or minus out front because I'm not going to write it all these times. Everything over 1, you just get what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Now we got to put them all over 2. When you put them over 2, you get 1 over 2. Now, when you put 2 over 2, that's what? It's already in the list. Then I go what? 3 over 2. Then when I go 4 over 2, that's what? 2. Already in the list. 6 over 2. What does 6 over 2? 3. And 12 over 2 is what? 6. Got all those. Okay. Now I got to put them all over 5. So now I have 1 over 5, 2 over 5, 3 over 5, 4 over 5, 6 over 5, and 12 over 5. None of those reduce. Now I put them all over 10. I have 1/10, 2/10. What does 2/10 reduce to? Already got it. 3/10. Do I have that one? No. 4/10. Do I have that one? 2/5. Yep. 6/10. Do I have that one? Yep, that's 3/5. How about 12/10? Do I have that one? Yeah, that's 6/5. Yep. So I got them. So this is your list. So back when I was your age, I had to just pick one and start. And hope you got 0. You guys can now go to what? Calculator. 10x to the 4th minus 11x to the 3rd minus 42x squared plus 7x plus 12. Graph. All right. Now, this one's a little bit harder. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. We can find the zeros of this function by using the second calc feature. Okay, if I can look and eliminate it, I look and eliminate it. But I'm looking here and I'm going, okay, if I look here, this 0 is between 0 and 1, and I got a gazillion. 2, 3, what's between 3 and 4? Do I have any between 3 and 4? No. I don't have any between 3 and 4. So when I do find my zeros, I'm not going to find this one because I know it's not one of my rational zeros. It's actually irrational. So watch. I'm going to go second calc. Have we found a 0 before?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go to 0. Second calc 0. Hit enter. And I want to find, I'm going to show you, I want to find either this one or this one because I've got a lot of fractions between 0 and -1 or between 0 and 1 that could be. So I'm going to find the positive one. So let's find, I want you guys to work on finding that 0 right there that I just highlighted. So remember when you do left bound, you got to pay attention to where your cursor is. There it is. Okay, I want to be to the left of that 0, hit enter. Come down to the right of that 0, hit enter. Do I want it to guess? I sure do. 0.6. Now it's exactly 0.6. It's not 0.6 repeating. It's not 0.66666. It's 0.6, which is 6/10 or what? 3/5, right? We could read this as 6/10. So we're not doing this one. I'm going to delete. If you get into this space, that's okay. This is 6/10, which is the same as 3/5. Does that look like a possible rational 0? Okay, so let's try that one. Let's test 3/5. Now, what are my numbers that I'm going to use here? 10. -11, -42, 7, and 12. All right. Bring down the 10 and multiply. So I'm going to divide by 5. That's 2. Multiply by 3, you get 6. Add, what's -11 plus 6? -5. Okay. Divide by 5. It's -1 times 3. See how we're doing that without a calculator? So much easier. What's -42 minus 3? -45. Now what's -45 divided by 5? -9. -9 times 3. Add -20. Okay, now what's -20 divided by 5? -4 times 3. Did we get 0? Okay, so now let's take a look. If I were to factor this, I would have x what? Minus 3/5. And then what would I have left here? 10x to the what? Third minus 5x squared minus 45x minus 20. Anybody see something we can do? GCF. What are you going to take out of there? 5. So when you take out a 5 from that big polynomial, what do you have left? 2x cubed minus x squared minus 9x minus 4. Okay. I'm looking at that. I have 4 terms. Is there any way we can factor it? I always like to try to factor it. Can I factor it? No. So what do we do? Well, guys, we have another rational 0 here. Well, remember we said this one was not rational, and this one did not appear to be rational because it wasn't in our list. But this one might be rational. So let's find that one. So second calc, 0. I got to get over here. I want to be left bound. So you got to watch it. Jumps quick. Left bound. Right bound. I want it to guess. And what do you guys get for that one? Negative 0.5. Is negative 1/2 in my list way at the top? Yep. Okay, so negative 1/2. That one might work. Now, here's the important part. You are trying to factor this. So those are the numbers you use. You don't go back to the very, very top or you're never going to get it fully factored. So you go back here. We've already pulled those things out. So what do I use here? 2, negative 1, negative 9, and negative 4. So pull down the 2. What's negative 1/2 times 2? Negative 1. Add. Multiply. 1. Add. Negative 8. Multiply. Add. Okay. So I have the 5 from up at the top. I have the x minus 3/5 from up at the top. This becomes x what? What would this factor be? No, with the 1/2. X plus 1/2. Because remember, this says x equals negative 1/2. So when you bring it back over, it'd be x plus 1/2. All right. Now, we had x to the what? Third, so what's left? 2x squared minus 2x minus, holy cow. Do I have a GCF again? What can you pull out of this one? A 2. Now, when I pull a 2 out of here, what do you do with the 2 and the 5? Multiply. What's 2 times 5? I know this one's humongo. And then what did this factor into? X squared minus x minus
4.
All right. Okay. Does this factor? What multiplies to give you negative 4 and adds to give you negative 1? Nothing.
So we're done.
So you're not done because you have to solve this. I didn't say it wasn't solvable. I just said it's not solvable by method of factoring. What other method can you solve this? Quadratic formula. You were not kidding. You were 100% correct. All right. I'm not kidding. Opposite of B. So what's B? 1. Opposite of B is negative 1. So 1 plus or minus square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times 1. So I have 1 plus or minus the square root of something over 2. Well, that's 1 plus 16. So what do you guys get underneath there?
17.
So when you solve this, that's what you get. What do you get when you solve this one? What did you guys get when you solved that one?
Oh,
Negative 1/2. What do you get when you solve this one?
3/5.
Does this give me an answer? No, because there's no x with it. There's your 4 solutions. I want to show you something kind of cool. This is huge, right? Guess what we're going to do next week after break? Make them imaginary, okay? Now, watch. Watch once. If I take my calculator and I do 1 plus the square root of 17 divided by 2, I get 2.56. Remember that number, 2.56. If I go back to my graph and I find this 0 over here, guess what it is? Did I jump over it yet? There it is. Left bound, right bound, enter. That's it. So, and then the other one would be the negative. So those are your 2 irrationals. So we had 2 irrational, and 2 rational solutions. Those make up your real number system. I know we did 2 problems in the whole class. On that note, have a fabulous Thanksgiving. Eat lots of turkey. You're glad we did this? It was 4 problems. It was.
I don't think I can do this.
I can guarantee I'm not.
I don't think I can focus.